Good evening, and my name is Aaron Pierce, and this is a presentation on how to design a PowerPoint. Um, I'm just going to keep this real short and sweet and to the point. Make sure you get every bit of information that you could possibly get, and let's jump right into it. With our first slide being, keep it simple. Don't let your message and your story be ruined by complicated and busy visuals. This includes text as well. Too many times we'll create a presentation where there's a lot going on and you have all these different pictures and all these different graphics and all these things going on, and people will begin to lose interest because they see all these different things going on. They don't know what to follow. So if you stick to a theme, a simple plan, a simple method, people tend to follow that a lot easier. Uh, You can tell someone 2 plus 2 equals 4, and there's no other way to tell them that unless you want to overcomplicate it, and then eventually people will start to lose interest. So keep it simple, as the picture says. There's an acronym for that as well. You want to limit your bullet points in your text. Remember, your audience may lose interest if your presentation is too point driven. A lot of times people will create PowerPoint presentations, and I've done it as well, where there's a lot of information, and instead of summarizing everything that needs to be said, we will always create bullet points and use various text and all these different type of things to try to get people to understand what we're trying to say. Again, if we go back to that first slide where it said keep it simple, if you can summarize what you have to say in a sentence or two, that's probably for the best. If you have to use more than 2 to 3 bullet points, you probably uh, overcomplicating it, and eventually people will start to lose interest. So limit your bullet points in your text. Next slide is use high quality graphics. Nothing ruins a presentation more than poor quality graphics. This is to say that if you pick pictures that look like crap, people will probably lose interest in that slide because the picture looks like crap. So try to pick pictures that people can actually see. If you can't tell what it is, you probably should not be using it. You want your audience to know exactly what the picture is. Not only that, your picture should probably apply to what's being said on the actual slide. So use pictures that are appropriate for the slide and pictures that you can actually see. Very simple. You want to choose your fonts wisely, meaning that your font should be professional yet conversational and readable from the back of the room. Uh, I've done this and many others. We've created slides that we've used various fonts for. And yes, this creates a bit of contrast, but too many fonts on one slide or too many fonts in one whole presentation will cause a lot of confusion, and ultimately your audience will start to lose interest because they can't find something to focus on. If all your slides follow a simple theme, then people will be a lot more ready to recall what the last slide said. In the very first slide, I'm pretty sure my very first slide says to keep it simple, and it's not because of my presentation, but if I was watching this, I probably would remember that anyway, based off the simplicity of each slide. I'm not going to overcomplicate this. Just choose your fonts wisely. If you're going to contrast, make sure that they contrast well, and try to follow a repetition. Try to follow a theme as far as how your layout goes and what actual fonts you use. Use video and audio, and you should use your video and audio to strengthen points and details. And this means that if you're trying to get a point across, or you're trying to get something out to your audience, and you just feel the text isn't working, or the text may not work 100%, you can make up that difference with some audio or video. Where telling someone that the sky is blue may be a little bit difficult, a video telling the same thing may be a little bit easier for them to understand, and that goes for audio as well. Uh, you have to be able to pander to different type of crowds, and some crowds will enjoy that video and audio, some crowds won't. It's just understanding your audience and knowing who you're speaking to that will ultimately help you get that point across. And limit transitions and builds. Use no more than 2 to 3 different types of transitions, lest your audience will get bored and annoyed by your constant changes. And this is true because if they see a whole bunch of different transitions and slides, they'll be more focused on the transitions and bills than the actual information being given. And the point of the presentation is to present the information that you have for your audience. If people uh, are more focused on the transitions and how funny they are and what sound they make, and ultimately they'll lose interest and they probably won't remember too much from it. Then again, that could possibly work in your favor depending on your audience. So tread lightly with the transitions and the bills. Also know your audience, but at the same time, try to keep it simple and help them understand it. In conclusion, solid PowerPoint is based on simplicity first. That is something that I truly believe. You don't have to overcomplicate things. You don't have to drive your point home with a whole bunch of bullets. You can just keep it simple. People will probably remember that a lot easier than anything else. Being too complicated only takes away from what is being presented, leaving only the presentation itself in the forefront and not the information being given. This is to say that people will focus more on what they saw than what they heard. And you want people to focus on what they heard, uh, with what they saw being an assistance to what they actually heard. The presentation, the graphics, the images, they're only there to help solidify your point. If they're not doing that, they will only hurt your presentation. So make sure when you use whatever you use, from fonts to text to layouts to graphics, that it solidifies your points. It helps the information that you're presenting get out to your audience, and you will have a great PowerPoint presentation. This concludes mine, and I thank you for your time, and have a good day.